Hey, good morning. It's about 11 o'clock. Plenty of seats up front, Coach Rowland. Look at him. Oh, he hesitated. Hey, good morning. Welcome back. Such a great opportunity to be back on the campus and start another academic year. And we wouldn't do this next semester without each and every one of you all here this morning. And so I paused just to stop and talk about personal life. My wife went to her first grade of kindergarten today, about 6:15. How many other first day of schools to the public schools sent kiddos off? So back to the routines, right? And I just learned, thank you, Ashley, for the state of Missouri. You know, there's a big tourism destination not too far from here in Branson, and there's a state law that says that you cannot start beyond 10 days before Labor Day. So interesting things. And I think us starting here at NEO, typically sometimes a week later than other institutions, is a great thing because we get students that think that they want to go off to Stillwater or any other location and have cold feet, and they want to come back where people know them by name and treat them great. And that's who we are at NEO A&M College because of each and every one of you this morning. As I think about starting off, I just want to introduce our executive council, starting off with our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Grover. Please stand. Vice President of Student Affairs, Amy Ishmael. Vice President for Fiscal Affairs, Brandon Glick, a.k.a. Brando. And Executive Director for Development and also our foundation, Ryan Orcutt. Appreciate the work that they do as part of the administration to help. I know our staff were here this summer getting ready to welcome back our students on campus. Students started stepping onto campus August the 1st with some of our student athletes. Then we've had a trickle in. Even met a young man yesterday from Bridgeport, Texas, Mr. Compton, who's going to play a trumpet. Devin is a trumpet player and is also a part of Thalys's esports team. Ironically, the only three people that I've ever known that worked at Bridgeport, Texas were all band directors. And so that was a great conversation yesterday with Devin and his family. You know, I think we've had a lot of great success this past year from our student athletes to our staff and our faculty, but here we go. And we celebrated some of those student successes just a couple of weeks ago at our planning retreat. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit, but as we look to the future and look forward, we do want to celebrate our past, and we're excited to get things started this academic year. I know that we are live streaming this because some people are back in their offices still supporting and serving students. And we appreciate them tuning in and staying there so that we can keep things moving. Enrollment, that's the most important talking point, I guess, this morning. We are excited to let you know that we had a great year. As I talk about last year, we had a great year. We were up about 7% overall in our student credit hour productions this past year, bringing us to about 44,000 credit hours. We have not been at 44,000 since 19 and 20, and so that makes us feel good to kind of be pretty close to where we were. As we look to the summer, this past summer, we had another enrollment increase. This past summer with about 6 or 7% is what I recall, and more importantly, our summer enrollment has really helped drove some of those numbers last year because it's the highest enrollment that we've had that we can obtain easily, which was from 2015 and forward. So we appreciate our students that are taking those and our faculty that are teaching the classes this past summer. As we talk to the fall, the good news about fall is we're up over 10%. And I made this slide, and it's actually 12% as of this morning. Pause. Yes. Here's what I really like about the fall numbers for this fall. New freshman enrollment's up about 4 to 5%. So that means Yes, that's good. Absolutely. Actually, I think we're about 3 or 4 students away on a head count on our freshman class to where we finished up last year. And so we are sitting great there. So to have that little increase is great. But here is where everybody in this room, I've told you many times, you all are recruiters, but we are also retention officers. Our growth this year is in retention, about 20%. What I think it says is they enjoyed their experience in your classrooms, they enjoyed their time on campus, and there are great things happening at NEO A&M College. And so the word is out that you all are doing great things, and people are joining the team, but they're also staying here. But we also have, we have some obstacles. I know that. You all know that. Housing numbers, it says 615. It's actually 623. So we're holding strong as it relates to campus housing. And so things are looking great as we look to the fall semester. This past year, external fundraising grants. I know that you all have seen lots of emails from Dr. Bauer and team, right? The Innovation Center is on fire as it relates to new technology. I'll pay you later on that. But they're doing great things, and I have said this in our planning retreat just a couple of weeks ago. Partnerships can be solutions to our problems, but grants can be solutions to some of our problems. And so the Innovation Center is doing amazing things, and many of you all are already engaged and been doing things over the summer, utilizing the new equipment and technology there that has been paid by a grant. And so this is we have 3 Title III grants on campus. This one was awarded last October, November. The grant is much larger than the 1.75, but that's our portion in conjunction with Carl Albert State College. We have a $350,000 estate gift. OM Church is a family member to Faye Van, there we go, Faye Van Hall. And so this family lived in California, and we've received that. That's become a scholarship endowment to help recruit and also with retention efforts. The Wyandotte Nation, appreciate if you see Chief Billy Friend to let him know that we appreciate his continued commitment to higher education at NEO A&M College. His $250,000 gift is intended to help us with things that state of Oklahoma really doesn't support us with, which is college athletics. And so we really appreciate his support and efforts there. The gear funding, do we still have money? There's $85,000 that we received. This is the government's emergency education relief fund. And if you go to scholarships.neo.edu, there's an application. There's a little bit of money still left of $85,000. A student has just needed to set out over the summer semester in order to be eligible. We sent out emails through our CRM, we've communicated that, and we've had a few takers. I want you to make sure that you know that that's available, and I've probably caused Chase and Amy and whoever else reviews those applications a few headaches with you all passing that word along. And then lastly is the USDA grant. This is an AI grant, but in the ag world, they say that's artificial insemination, not a grant that paid for AI training yesterday, which would be artificial intelligence. And so I know that the ag department's looking forward to their AI grant for this upcoming fall semester. Deferred maintenance, a lot of improvements that have taken place. When you have buildings like Shipley, 100 plus years old, then the majority of our buildings are 60 years of age. We've done roof replacements on approximately 8 buildings across campus this past year. We've done an HVAC chiller, boiler updates. The Student Activity Center chiller finally got delivered. We ordered that in like July last year, June and July, and it took 50 plus weeks for it to get here. Bless the ag department's heart because Abel's is down, and obviously we're cooling that, and obviously shuffling people across campus. The great news is we are putting a plan together. We've made that order for Abel's, again, 26 weeks from the time we push play to order that. So there's supply chain issues, but we know we're trying to do the best that we can. Some of the other facilities, Dyer and Fine Arts, are on our list to be considered. We are also very fortunate to have received $1.2 million for capital injection funding to help us with these HVACs. Otherwise, of course, that's the CFO. Otherwise, it comes out of our hide or cash that we have on hand, but we're very excited about that. Parking lots across the street, two have been done, two additionals will be done. That's all we could fit in. We've, there's obviously price increases as it relates to HVAC, so we've got to be very strategic as we navigate forward to limp along with some of our existing HVACs, but also to make sure that we can invest and fix them the right way. And so we'll be deploying those funds this fall. Improvements across campus. Don't go up there yet, but on the second floor of the library administration building, we're very excited about the 2,500 square foot that's being renovated there. That's ARPA funding that is built into our budget again this year. I know that some ladies over here are very excited about that, to have a classroom and nursing simulation lab. I quickly tell myself it's called leading edge technology that we've purchased, not cutting edge technology in nursing field. So sorry, pretty lame as it relates to that, but we're excited about that. And if you've driven across campus on the east side, which is kind of M Street to an extension of campus, there was a new scoreboard delivered today. So our partnership with the City of Miami, Miami Community Facilities Authority, about a $400,000 Jumbotron at no cost to NEO is being installed over the next couple of days. And then also at Red Robertson Field this fall, after the football season is over, we will also install new turf. Again, another about $450,000 enhancement at no cost to NEO. And so very excited about the improvements that will take place, not impacting our budget, Brando. So also, kind of long, well, I guess it's under campus safety. M Street at the very bottom. I don't know if you have been by here at night, but that's the glowing corner of campus now. There's about 5 or 6 utility poles, utility lights there, and it really lights up that side of campus. And so we appreciate the City of Miami working with us on that. Safety, you can never do enough as it relates to campus safety. And so I appreciate Buddy and his team, the Run, Hide, Fight training that has been done. I assume that we'll continue to do some of that this fall. And with that, we'll do some more of that this fall. So stop, I had a note to do this. If you are new within the last 365 days of employment at NEO, please stand. We say welcome to you and thank you for joining our team. And I say that to say is you don't know anything about Run, Hide, Fight. And you will, because Buddy Lambert is trained to help us do that. And I think that's a very important thing for us to be equipped with knowledge on how to protect ourselves in the event something tragic were to ever happen on this campus. As it relates to those things that we want to continue to provide resources, you now have an app available to you, and they've been handing out these cards. I highly encourage you to download that app. And then over the summer, the staff have seen IT to come into their office and rename computers as it relates to panic buttons. And we've not deployed any of this, but I'm going to tell you 2 examples, Eric. So first of all, they installed the panic button on my computer in the office, Chandler, I think, and I don't know what happened, but all I know is a few seconds later I'm talking to Chandler on my computer and I'm like, am I on a Zoom? Brando's like, is it Teams? And a few seconds later, Eric's running in. It works, even though we've not communicated it out. There is a panic button. They'll tell you more about it. It's forthcoming. So I'm excited about the technology that has been added, and we'll be communicating that out. The other thing is this app. Anybody seen the card that's been passed out by Buddy and his team? I know that that will be deployed. It's my very last app, and I'm just forewarning you again. You get this new app. It has our logo at the top. It says anonymous tip. You can click on resources. You can put a safety timer on there. There's a safety map that has all of our Google places, points of interest and buildings. And then it says local assist. Don't push that button either, right, Eric? So Eric showed up a few minutes later after pushing that button, and so I'm intrigued by our new technology. So I appreciate our first responders, our police, NEO Police Department, and the fact that we are adding technology to our campus community. And so more information forthcoming in regards to the safety apps on campus. State appropriations, just a recap of the state legislature. You know, one of the things that happened this session is they decided, they being down there at 23rd and Lincoln, decided that they wanted to pass a grocery tax, right? And so that passed. And so that took about $300 million off of the table as it relates to appropriations across the state of Oklahoma. So we came in with a flat budget. Our Section 13 offset money is to help us with building repairs and debt service. A concurrent enrollment is a reflection on how our enrollment was the previous year and what we get reimbursed because we waive a lot of that here. And then through the advocates of the two-year college presidents, we got a one-time insurance cost offset. Our risk management premiums are nearly $400,000, and just a few short years ago, it was about $185,000. So there's been a substantial increase. And so that's something that we're not going to be able to count on, but we appreciated them inserting that at the last second to help us out with our budget. Here's a snapshot as it relates to our student credit hour production. Again, you'll kind of see that we're somewhat close to the 19 and 20 comparison. Again, about 44,000 credit hours for this current past year. 44,412 is roughly what I had down for this past year. So as you all stepped away, we were building our budget not knowing what the state legislature was going to do. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard since I've been here is our fees, hidden fees. So a year ago, we took away 42 academic service fees, fees, and replaced that with a $1 increase, which took our tuition from $99 to $100. This past year, we have a hidden mandatory fee, which was called an academic service fee of $4 that everybody paid. But if you're on Oklahoma's Promise or you're a concurrent student, you were paying that fee out of pocket. And so what we did is asked to roll the $4 into our tuition this year. And we also asked for a $5 increase. So it looks like we actually raised our tuition by $9, but at the end of the day, if you look at the true student out-of-pocket increase, was only $5, approximately $150 over the course of a full year. Does that make sense? Room and board, we made a few changes there. First time in I don't know how many years there was a slight increase, $50 per semester for our traditional rooms, and then also $100 as it relates to our suites. Sodexo had about a 5.2% cost increase relating to those costs. So at the end of the day, it's roughly $212 per semester, or $424 a year to the cost of the student. And why does all that matter? Because again, knowing who we serve, we never want to price ourselves out of the ballpark. Competition is real as it relates to where we are. We're all state-supported institutions, and in some instances, we're just state-located because of how the declining support for state higher education is. This chart is important for me to say that, what's the true out-of-pocket expense from a maximum Pell student. And so I know a lot of the people that actively recruit students will utilize what a student's going to get as it relates to Pell and then supplement with scholarships. And so if you go back to the history, the first part of this graph, it was 85% is what Pell covered. And so we dipped down to 59%, about 19. And then obviously you can see the swing a little bit up and then just a little bit of a downturn. We're at 65% now, whereas we were at 67% last year. So that's just making sure that we understand who we serve in our students. And I'll stop right there and say, it's been a fiasco, right? David Fisher, he's probably not here. He's probably watching at home or in the office. And because of the FAFSA rollout, we started off about 30 or 40% down on our applications. I think we were still down about 10% on our applications from where we were a year ago about this time. This is data that's about 7 to 10 days old now. But the most important part, even though our applications are down 10%, at this same point in time last year, we'd only had about 650 students, maybe 670 students that had completed the whole process and were enrolled and ready to award. This year it's over 900 students hats off to the Success Center, hats off to financial aid, because if they are set up and ready to pay, we know that a major portion of their bill is actually going to help us cover the cost. So I applaud that group helping us take a 10% decline in applications, but our returns north of 250 more students right now at this same point in time. One of their proactive approaches is to work with the student athletes that came in early. I know that they met with 2 or 3 teams this week, met with the team a couple of weeks ago, and so there's been a proactive approach as it relates to getting financial aid in. Why is that important? Well, I'll tell you it's important because we need people to pay their bills. And the federal government also changed a rule this past year that went into effect July the 1st, that basically says if a student has received Title IV funding, Title IV being financial aid, they have access to their transcript even though they've not paid their bill. And that's different. I'm not familiar with any other business in the world that does business that way. But Title IV funding is a huge part of who we are, so we have to be compliant with those rules. And so it's been very important for us to make sure that we're proactive on the financial aid application process. And then also I'd simply say that the addition of an account specialist within the business office that is working with students to help set up payment plans proactively. And we want to be more educational as it relates to the true cost of education to go to this school and help people be successful. We know that they've got to be successful in your classrooms, but they also have to be financially successful, or we don't have a 20% retention rate increase, because you have to be in good standing to still enroll, which is below $500 before you can re-enroll. And so they may be able to get their transcript and go, but we want to be more proactive. Here's a summary as it relates to our budget for this current year, roughly the same amount as it relates to $28 million. I talked about the addition of an account specialist. I'd also simply say that healthcare costs continue to go up all across the country, and we are positioned here at NEO to continue to fully take that on. If you just look back just a few years ago, it's gone from, goodness help me on the numbers, about $4,000 to $5,000 per head, each one of you, to we're budgeting this year about $7,700 per person for healthcare cost. And so I know that does not reflect into your paycheck, but that we are committed to doing what's right as it relates to healthcare cost. And so that's helped built us in to our budget planning. And also, I'd simply say with this figure, and that we will continue to have conversations about this in the coming weeks, but with enrollment right here where we're at, I'm also pleased to tell you that we've got a stipend built into this budget for this upcoming year. And so I appreciate the work that each and every one of you all do. Here's kind of a breakdown of E&G. So when people say, what is the state, well, this is our overall budget, I should say. So what is the state's portion to help NEO operate each and every year? It's about 29%. And so obviously that has continued to decline. This next slide really just breaks down what we call our E&G budget, and you'll see that we're at roughly 45% compared to 67% at the beginning of the slide, which was back in 2009 and 10. And I can tell you that appropriation back in 9 and 10 was over $9 million. And so think with, we're at 7.7 and some change as it relates to reimbursements for concurrent enrollment. So that kind of gives you an idea. And of course, the most important part, knowing who we are and who we serve, is the percentage of what we put on the backs of students that go to school here. Used to be 33%, now they're paying for 55% of their cost. Debt service, again, we're in a position that we don't have the ability to pay off, well, we can't go pay it off, but we can't engage in really any more debt service as it relates to our financial position. And so 5.6 is where we are this past year, $1.5 million. We'll see a little bit of a fall off of this current year, but just kind of giving you a snapshot of how we've got to continue to be frugal and make sure that we make important adjustments across campus strategically. $5.2 million compared to last year. We dropped from about $7.2 million last year to this point. We are still in a great, healthy financial position. We paid off DOAS units. Those are the dedicated outside air systems, of which were a part of our ARPA funding, or ARPA, HIPAA, whatever the acronym was, American Recovery Relief Funding. And then also when you start talking about those 8 roofs that we talked about, those came into play. And so again, we've got to continue to be strategic as it relates to our cash reserves. But I am telling you that we're in a good position. We just got to continue to make sure that we hold the course. As I move into this next year, we had a planning retreat just a few weeks ago to talk about our successes and our 5 strategic goals, our strategic commitments, student success, enrollment management, our personnel, our people, fundraising, and I'm missing one more, campus safety and facilities as the 5th. We talked about what our accomplishments were this past year. There's amazing, great things that are taking place on campus, and I'm truly excited about what is to come. And so we really talked about what is to take place this next year. So there's some changes that we have to embrace on this campus because Oklahoma City says so, right? And so one of the things that we did that's not necessarily listed here, but I'll jump into, is we removed the requirement this past year for an ACT. We are an open access institution, meaning that the ACT was only utilized to help place students. And so the state regents changed their policy, and so we changed that. And we actually pushed it out a little bit because that is just a placement, not a requirement to get in for admissions. The second item on academic and student success is also another thing that's changed downstate. And I know that we have formed committees this past spring semester to really do a lot of work this next year as it relates to math and English gateway courses, because the state of Oklahoma is changing away from developmental education courses. And so excited, but also nervous as it relates to that, but I feel confident about the committees and the work that they'll do as we prepare for the fall of 25 semester. Title III, I can't say it enough. We get to do some cool stuff because of the funding, because of this grant. And we want to continue to build a community of people that do join us remotely and appreciate the work that is being done a part of that grant. Campus safety and facilities, we're going to continue to do HVAC improvements across campus. Safety training is a huge part of that. The HVAC systems, again, Dyer Hall, you'll be pleased to know that we've got mechanical people here today to help us develop. When you take a 60-year-old building and you try to put a 2024 model out there that pushes the air through, they don't jive. And so you have to have mechanical architects come in to help us to do that, engineers to help us do that. Recruitment and retention. Again, I've said this since I began 4.5 years ago. We control our future. The state of Oklahoma is not going to get us back to $9 million it was in 2009. We have to drive student enrollment. And so we are all recruiters. We are all retention officers. You have done a great job this past year, but we know that we can continue to improve. Part of the improvement process is making sure that we understand a process. What is the process from start to finish, meaning start to apply to get enrolled, and how do they end up in your classroom, but also make sure that they're financially prepared to be successful. And so that's an effort that we want to tackle this year. And then, of course, communications with students, not only new students, but also returning students, because, again, it's much cheaper to recruit a student that's already here than it is to send the recruitment team off campus to go look for that. And so we've got to understand that higher education, and I pointed this out in our retreat the other day, higher education, we are known for acronyms, which I hate, Ryan Orcutt. I also... he gave me a Christmas card once that got it correct, so I always give him a hard time. But we are known for acronyms that nobody knows what ACE means. We are known for higher education jargon. You are the encouragers to the students that step on this campus. They most likely do not have somebody at home that understands higher education. And so they are going to ask you the wrong questions, and if you answer that question directly, we've not given them the answer that they were looking for. We've got to probe to make sure that they understand. This is part of the learning process. They're away from home, but I think that's what we do well. And so I just want to echo and remind everybody that is who we serve. And so we've got to be clear and consistent and understanding of how we can better serve the students on this campus. And that's one of the hopeful goals for this upcoming year. Personnel support and development out of the retreat, we talked about a handbook. And I say it's staff handbook, and it probably needs to be an employee handbook. That is a goal, huge heavy lift. This was started when this conversation started basically right after I arrived. We sent it to legal to start doing some things as it relates to the work, I think, of Elizabeth Flees and Keely Adams in 2020, 21, somewhere in there. No progress because they thought that we were going to do a system-wide approach. And so there has been some work and efforts. We'll be communicating more as it relates to getting out of the dark ages as it relates to policies and procedures. And so I know that Brando and his team, Holly, will be helping lift that as we go forward. And then professional development. Again, that kind of goes along with making sure the right hand and the left hand knows what's going on in a process. But it's also things like yesterday, the other AI, not the ag AI, artificial intelligence. It's amazing what this technology can do in and out of the classroom. And so I, for the sake of just saying I did something with AI yesterday, I took in my slides and threw it into AI. I uploaded some comments from last year and said, write me a speech. And it produced something, but it's not what I'm using, obviously. But it's just amazing what it can do. And so I also said, make it a narrative form, and then make it bullet format. So it's just crazy. And so we've got to figure out how to grow our own. We want to continue to elevate the people that work here, and we believe that this is achievable through some programs like we had yesterday. Who paid for that training yesterday? Title III. So Title III, we appreciate them very much. Lastly, externally, we got to be focused on raising money. Again, alumni and friends are the solutions to our problems, but also private foundations. And so we'll be seeking applications this upcoming fall. But alumni are the key to our success. And so as I think about where we are right now, we've got alumni all over the world doing amazing things, truly. One in the Olympics from Belgium, representing the country of Belgium just a couple of weeks ago in basketball, women's basketball. I got a text message yesterday from Atlanta, Georgia. Kenneth Sewell, Vice President of Research at Oklahoma State University, played football here in the 80s, went off to Kansas State, got his PhD, was at a CDC conference, Centers for Disease Control, yesterday. I was on the phone this morning with Reese Travis. Where's Calvin at? So Reese has played here, played here for 3 years of football, went on to University of Oklahoma. I think he was on the national championship team there. Yeah, he was, because he's going to the Tennessee game to watch his buddy Josh Heupel, who's the head coach of Tennessee. Anyway, I get off on point. But the point is he was former owner, president, CEO of Orange Leaf Frozen Yogurt, an NEO graduate. We have alumni. I know that Chip's got us in contact with the CIO for Paycom Connected. Alumni can be the solutions to our problems. Find ways to connect with them, because engagement is not asking them for a check the first time. It's the second time, right, Ryan? So first time, we want them back on campus. And there's not a better way for us to get connected with them than to get them back on campus for a homecoming. Or any other type of activity. Obviously, Reese loves football, but when you have kids playing football on Friday nights, we got to figure out ways to be creative. And so Calvin's going to host him on campus on September the 11th. At least that's what he tells us, right? As I left the retreat the other day with our group, I changed this question up a little bit. I kind of said, to the group, what can we do? But I'll turn around and say, what can you do to make a positive impact on advancing student success? So I want you to think about that. And I pondered what I was going to say a little bit more in depth last night. And this is the word that I came up with: connectedness. And it kind of goes along with my theme of customer service, connectedness. And so dictionary.com says the state of being connected and having a close relationship with other people. I think that's retention. I think that's exactly what our recruitment, when a student comes onto campus, and Devin that you met in the lobby, that I met yesterday in the lobby, making them feel at home. That's a 6-hour drive. They made a choice. There is about 10 colleges between Bridgeport, Texas and Miami, Oklahoma. Somebody along the way made an impact on him, and I think that's through the connectedness. So be intentional about how you meet your students. Meet them outside of class as it relates to be supportive of them. Welcome Week is no better way to do that. We're in a time that we've got to figure out how to bond together, and I think that we do that great, but our country does not. And so continue to be cognizant of connectedness as we enter this fall semester. Ties back into the alumni and getting them back on campus, get them to an event, get them to an activity. No better way than homecoming. And then again, do that with your colleagues as well. And there was actually some conversation at our retreat about doing some informal gatherings. Again, not expected, but again, this is who we spend a lot of time with right here in this room. And so we've got to make sure that we are connected to one another as it relates to the where we want to take this institution. With that being said, this is really, it's been on, I guess it's kind of been on my heart as I talked about the division that takes place in the country right now. The Dignity Index. Anybody ever heard of besides from me? Raise your hand if you've heard it from somebody besides me. Okay, next question, as y'all are kind of reading that as well. Anybody heard of Tim Shriver besides from me? Raise your hand, anybody? Timothy Shriver. So, I think we're in for a cool treat. And we've not executed the contract. I've signed it. I'm waiting on Tim to sign it. But as we talk about, as you read this, we're at a point that we've got to continue to figure out how to work in the middle. And I don't want to talk about politics in D.C., but as a country, we are divisive. And so we want to figure out how to ease divisions, prevent violence, and solve problems. And so as you read this little paragraph, I'm excited to tell you that Tim Shriver is going to come to campus on September the 6th at 11 a.m. at no cost to anybody that wants to attend. I encourage you to get students to come here and be a part of that to talk about the Dignity Index. I had a chance to meet Tim in February in Oklahoma City, and a part of his process of the Dignity Index, they would put speech or they would put somebody's comments up on a screen. It's not about who says the comment. It's about what is being said in the comment and how do we move away from contempt to dignity to help have conversations. We can disagree, but let's disagree in a way that is respectful to each other and each other's dignity. And so I'm excited about Tim Shriver. I hope that you will put that on the calendar. Tim said that he helps with the onboarding process for Bank of America, which has several thousand employees, because of the diversity that's in the world. We are preparing students for a global society. So we may not see division here. I hope we don't see it. People are watching if we do, and people at 23rd and Lincoln are watching closely of what takes place here. But I really think about what we experience outside of Miami, Oklahoma, what we see across the country, and that's part of our process and due diligence to help prepare students for the global society that they're going to live. So Tim Shriver, have you figured out who he is yet? So his mother is Eunice Kennedy Shriver. He would be John F. Kennedy's nephew, and his mother was the founder of the Special Olympics, and he currently serves as the chairman of the Special Olympics National Committee and is in town for a fundraiser in Tulsa, and we have snatched him up to come to Miami, Oklahoma to enlighten us as it relates to the Dignity Index. If I would simply say, and again, I'm spending way too much time on this, I really do feel like this is something that we are charged with to help prepare these students as they leave here. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to hear. You're going to learn how the Dignity Index works. I encourage you to go look up the Dignity Index and watch a couple of videos. There's one about 3 minutes and 50 seconds out there, but I didn't want to bore you with that today. So with that said, we have a great opportunity ahead of us, and I am honored to be your president. I'm honored to work beside you all to continue to advance the educational opportunities in northeastern Oklahoma, and we're going to do amazing things again this fall, just like you've had in the past. And so with that said, thank you, and row, Norse row. the air conditions that is working is the one in here, so that's great. Update in regards to Connie Hall. We have technicians over there today. Those are supposed to be up and running. Tell me, somebody remind me the exhibit, the name, this over there. Say it again. Thank you. St. Clair's Defeat. I wait till it gets a little cooler in there. Make sure it gets down to about 75 degrees. I highly recommend you go over there and learn about St. Clair's Defeat. They had a presentation here. Kent's Ball State University presented probably 2 or 3 months ago during the summer, and we are pleased to host that exhibit. That is something that could be an asset to your classrooms, so highly recommend that. With that, I'm now instructed to basically give you directions on lunch. Either side is what it says. So thank you again. We are going to have a great year, and as Dr. Grover would say, bon appetit. First come, first serve. Thank you all.